Hi kids, Grandma Nancy here. Today I'm going to do this just slightly differently. I am going to read without you seeing me. And what you see here is the book Sailor Dog by Margaret Wise Brown. Unfortunately, you can't see the whole cover because of the library sticker. Born at sea in the teeth of a gale, the sailor was a dog. Scuppers was his name. After that, he lived on a farm. But Scuppers, born at sea, was a sailor, and when he grew up, he wanted to go to sea. So he went to look for something to go in. He found an airplane. All aboard, they called. It was going up in the sky, but Scuppers did not want to go in the sky. That's an interesting airplane, huh? Here's Scuppers right here. That's a nice tree house. He found a little submarine. All aboard, they called. It was going down under the sea, but Scuppers did not want to go down under the sea. He found a little car. All aboard, they called. It was going over the land, but Scuppers did not want to go over the land. He found a subway train. All aboard, they called. It was going under the ground, but Scuppers did not want to go under the ground. There's Scuppers. Everything he owns is in the sack. Scuppers was a sailor. He wanted to go to sea. So Scuppers went over the hills and far away until he came to the ocean, and on the ocean was a ship. It was blowing all its whistles. All aboard, they called. All ashore that are going ashore. All aboard. Oh, he's excited to get to that ship. And there's people waving at him. Look at, they have little toy boats. So Scuppers went to sea. The ship began to move slowly along. The wind blew it. In his ship, Scuppers had a little room. In his room, he had a hook for his hat, and a hook for his robe, and a hook for his pants, and a hook for his coat, and a hook for his spyglass, and a place for his shoes, and a bunk for a bed to put himself in. At night, Scuppers threw the anchor into the sea and went down to his little room. He hung his hat on a hook for his hat, and his robe on a hook for his robe, and his pants on the hook for his pants, and his coat on the hook for his coat, and his spyglass on the hook for his spyglass. And he put his shoes under the bed and got into his bed, which was a bunk, and went to sleep. There's the pants and the coat, the hat and the rope, and the spyglass. Oh, and there's the shoes. And there's Scuppers sleeping. Next morning, he was shipwrecked. Too big a storm blew out of the sky. The anchor dragged, and the ship crashed onto the rocks. There was a big hole in it. Scuppers himself was washed overboard and hurled by huge waves onto the shore. It was foggy and rainy. There were no houses, and Scuppers needed a house. But on the beach was lots and lots of driftwood, and an old rusty box stuck in the sand. Maybe it was a treasure. There it is. It was a treasure to Scuppers. It was an old-fashioned toolbox with a hammer and nails and an axe and a saw, everything he needed to build himself a house. So Scuppers started to build a house, all by himself, out of driftwood. He built a door and a window and a roof and a porch and a floor and some walls, all out of driftwood. And he found some red bricks and built a big red chimney. And then he lit a fire, and smoke went up the chimney. There's the chimney. That's a pretty neat house. After building his house, he was hungry, so he went fishing. He went fishing in a big river. The first fish he caught never came up. The second fish he caught got away. The third fish he caught was too little, but the next fish he caught was just right. That night he cooked the fish he caught, and smoke went up the chimney. Then the stars came out and he was sleepy, so he made a bed of pine branches. He jumped into his deep green bed and went to sleep, and as he slept, he dreamed. If he could build a house, he could mend the hole in the ship. Think of really good things when you're dreaming sometimes. So the next day, at low tide, he took his toolbox and waded out and hammered planks across the hole in his ship. At last the ship was fixed, so he sailed away until he came to a seaport in a foreign land. By now his clothes were all worn and ripped and blown to pieces. His shirt was torn, his hat and coat were gone, and his shoes were all worn out. Only his pants were still good. Oh, look at his shirt. All these people dress so much different because they're so far away in a foreign land. So he went ashore to buy some clothes at the Army and Navy store. First he bought a coat. He found a red one, too small. He found a blue one, just right. It had brass buttons. Then he bought a hat. He found a purple one, too silly. He found a white one, just right. He needed new shoes. He found some yellow ones, too small, some red ones, too fancy. Then he found some white ones, just right. Here he is wearing his new hat, his new shoes, and his new coat with the shiny brass buttons. He has a can of polish and a cloth to keep them shiny. And he has a new rope and a bushel of fresh oranges. Now Scuppers wants to go back to his ship, so he goes there. At night when the stars come out, he takes one last look through his spyglass and goes down below to his little room. He hangs his new hat on the hook for his hat, and he hangs his spyglass on the hook for his spyglass, and he hangs his new coat on the hook for his coat, and his pants on the hook for his pants, and his new rope on the hook for his rope, and his new shoes he puts under his bunk, and himself he puts in his bunk. And here he is where he wants to be, a sailor sailing the deep green sea. This is Scuppers' song. I'm Scuppers the sailor dog. I'm Scuppers the sailor dog. I can sail in a gale right over a whale under full sail in a frog. I'm Scuppers the sailor dog. I'm Scuppers the sailor dog. With a shake and a snort, I can sail into port under full sail in a fog. See if you guys can sing this song too. I kind of messed up fog the first time I said frog. Well, that's okay. Okay, kids. I'll see you next time. I hope you like the new way that I did the story. Bye. I love you.